To follow breaking news in St. Louis, 2 FBI agents have been shot while responding to a barricade subject inside a home. Both agents were taken to the hospital and they're expected to survive. The shooting was about 5 miles south of Ferguson, and officials say this was not directly related to the protests there. What was planned as a candlelight vigil to protest the situation in Ferguson turned into an hours-long demonstration on the streets of Music City.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
After making a trip around downtown last night, protesters made it up onto I-24 and closed down the interstate for a brief time. They did that twice, both times, laying in the middle of the roadway for 4.5 minutes to represent the time they say Michael Brown laid in the street after he was shot in August. The interstate was closed for about a half an hour around 10 o'clock last night. Organizers say this was a fluid situation and the march was never a definite part of the plan.
The intention was to do a candlelight vigil, but the organizers and myself, we realized that there could definitely be a chance people wanted to move and to express their feelings with their feet. So we did have this in mind, and we kind of just responded to the crowd and see where they were at, and we followed their lead.
The marchers made their way back to the Criminal Justice Center and called it a night just before 11 o'clock. Metro Police said there were no arrests, injuries, or property damage as a result of that protest. That's good news. And in Cleveland, protesters had 2 causes to march: Ferguson and the fatal shooting of a 12-year-old boy last weekend. Officers fired at the child when he pulled out a realistic-looking BB gun. Last night's protest blocked downtown traffic and at one point blocked a ramp to a busy freeway. Police observed the demonstration, but they didn't interfere. Back to Ferguson now, where police made at least 44 arrests overnight. And the officer at the center of the controversy says his conscience is clear and he was just doing his job. Susan McGinnis has more on this developing news.
They can't break it if we together.
Protesters faced off against police standing steps away from officers in full riot gear. But the relative calm of the night was interrupted by violence yet again. The tension led to looting. A lone police vehicle was attacked and set on fire. Authorities rushed into the crowd and released tear gas.
Compared to one night ago, the National Guard is a larger and much more visible presence here tonight. Protesters are being ordered to disperse or face arrest.
Get out of the street.
The threats did little to ease the overwhelming sense of injustice expressed by some demonstrators.
Darren Wilson was able to murder someone in cold blood, if you ask me, an armed teenager, and nothing was done for it.
Following Monday's grand jury announcement, Officer Wilson broke his silence. In an interview with ABC's George Stephanopoulos, Wilson described firing a series of shots at Brown after a foot chase and an initial altercation in his squad car.
He gets to about 8 to 10 feet, and as he does that, he kind of starts to lean forward like he's going to tackle me. And I looked down my barrel of my gun, and I fired, and what I saw was his head, and that's where it went.
Right in the top of his head?
Yes.
Questions have been raised over how the prosecutor's office presented the case to the grand jury.
A first-year law student could have did a better cross-examination of the police officer shooting an unarmed person than this prosecutor's office, and it's just troubling to this family.
Attorneys for Brown's family hope an ongoing federal civil rights investigation will lead to charges against Wilson. Susan McGinnis, CBS News, Ferguson, Missouri.
And Officer Wilson remains on administrative leave right now. News Channel 5 will bring you the latest on this developing story, both on air and online at newschannel5.com. Also new for you this morning, a building that housed several businesses in downtown Sparta went up in flames overnight. I want to show you the scene on West Bachman Way near North Wilson Street. We have a picture that was given to us by the SpartaLive.com website. Fire crews were called out a little after 9 last night and spent much of the night battling the blaze. We're still gathering information about which businesses are affected and just how serious the damage is. We're told the building housed at one time a bookstore and an antique shop, among others. In Clarksville, 2 people were flown to the hospital after a wreck on Ashland City Road near Queens Bluff Way. The Leaf Chronicle reports a Pontiac collided with a Ford pickup. The car ended up off the road. The truck slammed into a light pole. Rescue crews had to use winches to stabilize the truck while they freed the driver. We're told both vehicles were traveling in the same direction when they collided. A Metro teacher is accused of having inappropriate contact with students. Pearl Cone teacher Marquita Alston has been placed on paid administrative leave while police investigate. No other details about the situation has been released. We're told, though, that this is Alston's first year with the Metro Nashville school system. And meantime, in Rutherford County, a teacher is also off the job after spending time behind bars. The Daily News Journal reports Stewart's Creek high school teacher Kathy Betchler was involved in some sort of severe verbal altercation with school administrators. Betchler was arrested for disorderly conduct and has been suspended without pay. But millions are expected to crowd the airport this morning as one of the busiest travel weekends kicks off. But bad weather could be slowing people and their flights down. News Channel 5's Cuthbert Langley monitoring things for us at Nashville International. So Cuthbert, I know things have looked good so far. I mean, is that still the case at this hour, 7:08 this morning?
Yeah, so far things seem to be going all right, Amy. There's one canceled flight out of the Nashville airport to New York's LaGuardia Airport and a handful of delays, but so far really not extreme delays. We're talking 30 minutes to an hour. So far relatively smooth sailing. You can see lots of cars here this morning as folks are getting ready to head to the airport for the kickoff to the holiday travel season. AAA is actually estimating that levels for air travel will be at the highest since 2007. They're expecting more than 3.5 million people to fly this weekend, but that nor'easter we've been talking about is expected to affect folks from here all the way up to New York City and throughout the East Coast, with major hubs like Boston and New York City expected to be affected, and that of course could have a domino effect. So far airlines have canceled around 160 flights for today, but that number is expected to go up. Already, I actually just checked online, Philadelphia's airport already has 103-minute delays. So no matter what, throughout the day today, just prepare to spend some extra time at the airport. You can also check your flight status online at newschannel5.com. We actually have, just click on the news link section there, and we have that flight tracker there, so you can plug in all of your flight information and know what your flight is looking like before you head out the door to the airport this morning. Security lines are moving pretty smoothly as well, but as always with these heavier travel times, always make sure to prepare and add a little bit extra time to your airport routine. Of course, we'll be out here throughout the morning and throughout the day, and you can always check online at newschannel5.com for all of the latest delays and cancellations. But for now, we're live here at the airport this morning. I'm Cuthbert Langley, News Channel 5 HD.
All right, Cuthbert, thank you very much.